Hey everyone, this is Mary. You're watching another little piece of my art. Today we're going to talk about paper beads. I need about 2,500 paper beads, I think, to make a beaded curtain that I want to make. So, yeah, nothing to it but to do it, I guess. But I thought I would share some of the process with you, or at least, show you what I have done or what I do. And then if you want to make some paper beads, you can make some too. And then also when I get done and have the whole thing made, I will post the done picture to my Instagram. But okay, so paper. This is a flyer from like used car thing or something. I don't know. You can use that kind of stuff. Junk mail. You can use your pattern papers, cardstock. Here's one that's thinner. It doesn't really matter what you use because when you roll the bead up, you're just going to see kind of little dots of colors here and there. And so they're all going to give a different effect. And then also, too, you can use something like this. This is the end of the roll of some wrapping paper, what's left at the end. And I saved this to cut into strips because I think that the texture is kind of cool. And I can paint those when I'm done if I feel like it. So what I do is I get all my papers together when I'm going to do the batch. And I gather them all up. And then I cut them and I store them in this jar here. It's just a big empty dog treat jar. So I cut all my papers and they look like that. If you want a bead that is an oval shape, it's going to have to be fat at one end and skinny at the other end. If you want a bead that's like a tube shape, like a macaroni noodle, then you don't have to make this pie shape when you cut your paper. You just would make a straight strip. You can do this by means of paper cutters. I have 2 paper cutters here. But to be honest with you, I just take the paper and cut it. I seriously just take the paper and cut it. The reason why is because I'm not making jewelry, so I don't care if my beads are identical. Now, if you were making jewelry, you would want like both earrings maybe to be the same, or, you would want a little bit more uniform. So when you start out, this is a straight edge and you need to cut that off. So I'll show you. This is a really big piece of paper to fit in here, so 12 by 12. So I just start at the corner here and cut straight up. Now, you could still use this corner piece. Just know that one end is going to be on the diagonal and the other end is going to be straight. So when you roll it, it's going to be kind of wonky. And that doesn't necessarily bother me. I don't mind a little bit of wonky bead. But now here's where you would, put this in the paper cutter if you were into that. And then here's where I just figure out the width, how long of a bead I want. And I just cut it into where I just keep getting skinnier and skinnier until we get to the end. So something like that. I would take my time and do that a little bit better if I had more time on my phone. But just for purposes of the video, that's basically how I do it. Now, I have on order a beading tool because my beading tools have went to the Great Beading Tool in the Sky place and I can't find them anywhere. So for now I'm using these bamboo skewers. So you can use a toothpick, a bamboo skewer, a chopstick, really anything that feels good in your hand and your paper. Some people like to use glue stick to seal it shut. And some people, like myself, I like to use whatever glue I have on hand. I happen to have this Cosmic glue that I picked up at Walmart for $1. You can see it has glittery flecks in there. They don't really show up, so not all my beads, they don't come out purple or anything. But it just gives it a nice little sheen. So that is what I have been using up to this point. Now you see down here I have a piece of cardboard, just your garden style everyday piece of cardboard, corrugated cardboard here. And I went ahead and poked holes in this with a needle. The reason why is because after you start rolling along making beads, you're going to want to stand them in something to dry. Especially if you coat it with glue and then coat it with something else. Like for example, today I'm using some clear gel polish. But on other beads that I'll show you in a minute, I have used different kinds of nail polish. You can also use your glossy accents. You can also use Mod Podge. You can use anything you want. Just remember that when you coat it with something, the bead is going to need to dry. So that is what makes something like this handy. Of course, I'm sure they sell all kinds of things for this purpose, but why would you want to buy it when you can just make it? Then today I found this in my stuff because I had some contact paper or something. So this can be another one where you would just, I don't have to make it so it doesn't roll, but you know, you would just put your bead in there to dry. So that's how that works. All right, so then the only thing left to do is you take your piece of paper that you're going to use to make your bead, and you just take your fingers and you just roll that onto your stick or your beading tool, or whatever it is, chopstick that you're using. And you kind of grip it here in the center and get a good push there so that it kind of starts to want to roll on its own. This paper is a little bit thicker than what I have been using, so a little bit more effort in terms of hand strength, but really no big deal. Like I said, it may even be more than 2,500. I was guesstimating off of a project someone else did that used 2,500, and I thought that was about as many as I would need, but who knows. Now you can tell if you have not cut this perfectly, that it's closer on this side than this side. You know, it's making more of a whoosh here. And if that happens to you as well, you can kind of just move things around a little bit and do some like little tucking and pushing and manipulate it so that it gets back on track some. So that's how that works, like that. And then you just keep a rolling. Now, the longer your paper is, the fatter your bead is going to be. So if you just wanted a skinny bead like that, of course, you know, you wouldn't have such a long strip of paper. But since I'm doing a beaded curtain, I am not trying to break my hands and make, you know, 6 million tiny beads, which I'm sure would look great. But yeah, I don't have that much patience. So I'm making them fairly big. Also, the bigger the bead, the more you're going to notice the pattern on the paper. So when it gets to this point here where we just have like a tail, that is when I blob this on here. And blob being a technical term, feel free to use that. First take your blob off, and then and then put that on there like that. So you see my glue. Like I said, you can use Elmer's glue, PVA glue, as they call it. You can use glue stick. You can use clear glue. You can use Eileen's Tacky Glue. You can use whatever makes you happy. I have a bunch of glues to use up, so I just picked one that happened to be like nearest to me one day, and I'm just going to go until this is empty and then go to my next glue bottle. So there is that. Also, I keep some baby wipes nearby because, you know, your hands are going to get gunky. But you can sit in front of the TV and make quite a few of these per evening. And really, you know, it doesn't take much concentration. After you start getting the hang of it, now my dog wants to go through. Go on. After you start getting the hang of it, you will find that you make them fairly quickly. So now you saw me put that there. I put that there to dry this glue, this Elmer's glue. And then when that glue is dry is when you would go to the next step, and the next step would be to sealing the bead. So, you know, this bead is dry and you can see it comes right on and off the stick. And so then for this one, I would use what I'm sealing with, which in this case happens to be some Kiss Clear Top Coat, because it's $1.25, and that's kind of like a better deal than some of the varnishes and stuff you can buy in the craft store. And it's really basically the same thing. We're not trying to like crazy glue our hat to scaffolding like the Crazy Glue commercial. We're just trying to keep the thing from falling apart. So then what I do is kind of, so when I work through, like I showed you the scraps I had in the bin, when I am done with this particular day's worth of junk mail, I want to keep all those beads kind of together because they're kind of going to look the same. So I've been putting them in this jar, and you can see that all of those from that flyer kind of have the same look. You know, they look a lot different than this bead is going to look because this has these bright colors in it, whereas the junk mail flyer was like this. So on these I used nail polish that had glitter in it to seal because I needed to get rid of some of that. I had a little bit too much, and these are what that turns out like. You can see them sparkling from down here, I do believe. But I think they're so cool looking, and I like the imperfection of them, how they don't all look the same, how some of them are wonky, some of them are not wonky. I have some small ones. That's when I discovered, no, we won't be doing that. And then when I get done with, you know, all of the same kind of color scheme, I'm going to store them in here, and they're in different little containers. This is just one of those craft things for tools or whatever. And I'm going to store them all there. So when I go to string them, they'll kind of be together. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you got something out of this video, and let me know if you like this kind of video, or if, you know, what it is you would like to see next. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Bye.